Okay, so where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay. Knoxville. Are you like a born and raised resident, or?
I was born there, raised through part of grade school, and I finished up at University of Montana. But in between there, I went to the Vietnam War. I spent 2.5 years in the Air Force in the Vietnam conflict.
Oh wow. 2.5 years in the Air Force. And how old are you, sir?
68.
60. Okay. Well, if you don't mind, just tell me a little bit about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. You're carrying the flag across America, it sounds like.
Well, that's the thing that gets people's attention. And it turns out that from a trivial standpoint and historic standpoint, the flag will be the first to be hand carried by a veteran from sea to shining sea.
Really?
Other non-veterans have carried the flag, and other veterans have carried a flag either as a part of their equipment, in their backpack or something, but no one has actually hand carried it as the major item of the walk. I also salute every passing motorist, which is kind of neat. Sends out a little positive energy, and it comes back to me tenfold. Kind of an encouraging part of the walk. But it's based on a biblical principle, and that is to esteem others greater than yourself. You know, in the military, a subordinate always salutes a superior first. And so it's, you know, in America we've lost what respect means. Even in families, children don't show parents and grandparents the respect that my generation was taught to show. And so Americans don't respect each other. They're more connected to electronic devices, you know, television, internet, gadgets, and so forth. So I'm trying to set an example of respect for my fellow Americans, hoping that a little spark will get a fire burning, and that others will show others respect, and we will come to once again be the United States of America. We're now the fragmented States of America, you know, and so I'll back the tape up a little bit. When this thing first started, it was like almost 2 years ago. I was living as a homeless person, choosing the homeless lifestyle as a minister to better walk in their shoes, to be able to empathize with the homeless lifestyle and find out exactly how they're being treated. And so I was sleeping in a tent out in the desert of Quartzsite, Arizona, and at precisely midnight, 3 nights in a row, God woke me up and was talking to me about walking across America. Well, the first 2 nights, I argued with God. You know, I thought, you know, you've knocked on the wrong door. You know, I'm an old man, and I was really giving him an intelligent argument. You know, young athletes need to be doing this. You know, find Tim Tebow or somebody, you know, somebody who can really handle this. This is out of my league, and so third night, I realized, you know, he just said, "I'm serious. You're the man I've chosen." And so I hadn't been watching Forrest Gump. I didn't even know about the movie. I wasn't hallucinating. I had eaten plenty of food. I was okay. And I just said, "Okay, not my will, but thine be done." I can't figure out how to do this. I have no way of knowing how to walk 3,000 miles. You know, I don't even like to walk 1 mile, much less 3,000.
I sympathize.
You know, I'm not a walker. And so I said, okay. And he just gave me the promise. He said, "My grace is sufficient. I'm gonna help you through this." Okay. Well, now, immediately, the first question is, okay, what kind of route am I going to take? So it takes me about 6 months to plot the route. My wife, of course, is on mission. She's a missionary to Uganda. So she was in Uganda, and I had to notify her of this new event. And she was very glad to come back and be my support person. And I was, I had it all rigged up to where we were just going to kind of camp out in the station wagon that we have. And God said, no, your wife needs something better than that. She needs to be able to take a bath every now and then. She needs a place to prepare food. And, she's also a senior, and she doesn't need that hardship. So I found an old RV, and I qualified, and we got the RV, and then we got this old car, and I said, well, this car is not going to help the walk at all, so we got a graphics wrap. My church helped me pay to have a graphics wrap put on the car.
I saw that, yeah.
And so now we're all set. We have the route. So we have to trace the route, because at my age, I'm just a chicken. I don't want to just go in uncharted waters.
Sure.
So I'm tracing the route backwards. That takes me about 6 or 8 months. And so let's say a year and a half of planning and everything, visiting chambers of commerce, visiting news media. I think I probably came by here and dropped a card off with somebody. And sometime last year or early in the year. And so Barbara came back, and she agreed, and we're all set. Well, the winter set in. Well, let me back it up. I still didn't know why. Why, God, do you want me to walk? I need to have a speech. I need to be able to tell the media what I'm doing.
Sure.
What is this about? And he said 2 Chronicles 7:14. It's on the card there. So I looked at that scripture, and I saw some key words there. I see humility, prayer, repentance, and healing. Okay. Yeah, I can resonate with that. That's what we need in America.
Sure.
And so then I started spinning off of that, and God's given me bits and pieces. He says, carry the American flag. And I'm thinking, why the American flag? Well, I said, well, I am a veteran. And maybe the flag is going to help me deter predators. Maybe I can just use the flag to ward off attacking dogs or something. But no, he began to teach me something that I should have already known about the flag. He said the flag represents we the people. He said the flag is a symbol of respect and honor. And he told me other things that you may not want to publish, but he said, the American flag is really a Christian flag. He said the red stands for my son's blood, the white stands for his purity, the blue stands for his royalty and his victory, and the stars represent my witnesses who testify to my son's mission. And he says the stripes are symbolic of the stripes by which you're healed. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, by his stripes you are healed. So I had a new concept there that I'd never seen before. And the American flag became very precious to me all of a sudden. And so I said, okay, now I got to carry this thing with dignity and honor. But I didn't realize that I was going to be sort of setting a record. I didn't find that out until Georgia summer. And now I have to salvage this flag. Well, at least I got a flag made in the USA. I didn't get a Chinese flag.
Right.
But I wish I would have gotten a nicer flag, a more expensive one. But anyway, God's told me, I got partway across North Carolina, he says, you still don't get it. He said, you're getting it partway, but you need more respect, you need more dignity, you need more discipline in how you're carrying this flag. And I'm saying, God, what do you mean? What do you mean? He says, you need to set an example of respect. My people have lost respect. You need to salute every passing motorist. You need to salute every person you see while you're carrying that flag. And I said, but why? And he says, I taught you in the scripture to esteem others greater than yourself. I said, oh, okay. So I started saluting him. And then that started impacting people. I mean, I had people coming back and stopping me and saying, when you saluted me, you moved me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And especially women. Women are rather emotional, but I just had a young lady recently that came on Facebook. She said, it was in Ozark. She said, I was the young lady that you saluted working on the house. And she said, you brought me to tears. And I said, this is foreign to me, because if somebody salutes me, it doesn't do anything to me necessarily, except it's like, why'd you do that for? But for some people, it has some special meaning. And most people identify me as a veteran. And most people are attracted to the flag. And so what I see now is that God set up a situation where I was going to be a symbol of respect and honor. That I was going to be an old man, which most people respect at some level. And then add on to it being a pastor. I got three things going for me there. And the flag and the saluting is a way to connect with my audience, a way to connect with the populace and get discussion going. Because really my cause that I'm promoting is not about the flag or the saluting. But that is like a right arm to the gospel. It's like a friendship, bonding kind of thing, whereby I can deliver my message. Because I never like to deliver my message to an audience that doesn't have open ears. An old man once told me that a fanatic is a person that keeps talking when everybody else has quit listening. I certainly don't want to be that. And so once I connect with people and we get the discussion going, and I say, and by the way, I'm a pastor, and my real cause is this, and I'll give it to you in a nutshell. I'm promoting a new birth of freedom and integrity in America. Notice I borrowed from the Gettysburg Address. And there's a reason for that, because that's politically correct. Just in case I'm running into somebody that wants to support social reform, but they're not interested in religion. I can still talk to them. But then I go on to say, I'm calling attention to the Ten Commandments, the Golden Rule, and our nation's founding documents. Now, the new birth of freedom that I am promoting is the new birth that Jesus talked about in the Bible, John chapter 3, when he said, you must be born again. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Now, that freedom is a permanent freedom. That freedom is such a freedom that no matter if you're locked up in prison, you're still free. So, okay, I'm okay with social reform. Social reform may last for a time, and then we may lose it. We've seen the pendulum swing in America. From liberal, conservative. It goes back and forth, and you never know who's going to be next on the list of minorities who get to be majorities. But I'm promoting that kind of freedom that's there for everybody, that will be beneficial to everybody, and that will be permanent for everybody if they will tap into it. So. I've had home field advantage now through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, now Arkansas. They call it the Bible Belt.
Sure.
And some have said, Pastor, you're just preaching to the choir. Maybe you should be walking through some of the northern states or some of the more liberal states. And I went to God with that. That just kind of threw me right at first. Like, God, why are we doing this way? And he said, there's 3 problems with the choir. He said, first, some have lost their voices. Others have forgotten the song. And the rest just don't even come to choir practice. He said, the choir is not singing. That's the problem. I said, yeah. Why didn't I think of that? You know, that is so true. Politicians, I mean, like, we don't need to get rid of Obama. We don't need to get rid of our Congress. They're politicians. They're professional dancers. They will dance to whatever music's playing. Okay? So what we need to do is sing the song. The choir needs to sing the song that we want them to dance to. But in order to sing that song, it seems like we need to have a heart transplant. And that's where that new birth of freedom comes in. When Christians decide that people and country, God and country, let's say, which includes people, when Christians decide God and country are more important than their jobs and their comfortable 4 walls, we can start having a revival and a healing. Because Christians need to step out of their 4 walls. They need to leave their comfort zones, as I have done. I'm setting an example. This is a radical example of the old adage: if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. You know. So if there's any tendency toward hypocrisy, you're not going to make it in my program. You know, we have to walk what we talk. No matter how radical it may seem, we have to do it. Now, we also have to put away our denominational barriers. We can't say, I can't work with you because my church is the true church and you're in the Babylon or you're in whatever. We have to lock arms as citizens, we the people. We have to lock arms together, sing the song together, march, and not fear what might come upon us, because when you sing that song, some are going to try to silence you. Since the walk started, my life has been sabotaged twice. There have been attempts on my life twice. And it appears to be an organized thing, because it's not just happenstance that in 103 days of walking that I would have had 2 incidences. I mean, 1 maybe, but 2, and the last one was attempted murder.
Well, what were those?
We have an RV that tows our pace car on a dolly behind it. Someone loosened the hitch coupler nut so that when I hit a good bump, it would pop it off the ball and send the car and dolly reeling, you know. And if the cables didn't hold, we would have a major accident, which would either put me in court, bankrupt me, you know, at least destroy my equipment to where I could not continue the walk.
So that was deliberate? It wasn't just...
Yeah, a mechanic actually examined it. I thought I needed to change. I thought my hitch coupler failed.
Right.
But he examined it. He says, there's nothing wrong with the hitch coupler. This nut here is designed as a lock nut. It does not move on its own. Someone loosened it. So that happened coming into Greenville, South Carolina. It was probably done in North Carolina, but it didn't. The accident didn't. I mean, the car actually came off, and it was a 6-lane, and I got in the middle lane, and the car slammed into the back of the RV. It was a miracle. The car hit the RV in the only place it could have hit it and not cause permanent damage. If you look at the front of the car, you can see that the front bumper's been wadded up a little bit. That's all. It missed the radiator by that far. The back of the RV did not cave in. I just had to caulk the trim a little bit, and it was back to normal. So that one was miraculous. But the next one is really scary. I was in Tennessee, parked at a church, and Barbara and I always get a motel on Friday night. We observe Saturday Sabbath on the seventh day, and we usually try to get a motel on Friday night. And we postulate that on Friday night somebody snuck in, got under the RV, took a pocket knife. They knew exactly what they were doing. They slit, and the picture's on our Facebook page, they slit my high-pressure fuel line back toward the tank in just the right spot, and just enough to where it would spray a mist of gasoline onto the 400-degree exhaust pipe. The mechanic that fixed that one would not drive the vehicle from where I drove it 2 hours that way, by the way. He said there was 100 miracles that I had survived it. He said it should have been up. And he would not drive it to his shop. He fixed it where I parked it. He said it's too dangerous to even drive to my shop. So, and we don't know what they're going to try next. We always have to check our brakes and our steering. And, they waited quite a while between times, but now I'm almost halfway, and if they're really wanting to stop me from walking to my destination, they'll have to turn up the heat pretty soon, I guess. And you wonder, well, why don't they just run over me on the road or shoot me or something? They want it to look like an accident.
So you think it's like some kind of organized...
Yeah, it is. I kind of know who it is. I know who my enemies are.
How did you have enemies?
Well, walk with me a while.
Yeah.
I'm an outspoken guy.
Sure.
I try not to offend people unnecessarily. But, if you get on some subjects, like one time I was invited to the VA medical center in Memphis, Tennessee, because I lived in Tennessee and that VA hospital is where I went. And they asked me to come to a sociological workshop because they heard about my new birth experience and that I had overcome bipolar disease through being born again. And they had never heard of such a thing because they felt like bipolar people have to take drugs all their lives. So they tested me and they said, you're not bipolar anymore. But they had a baseline of a test years before where I was bipolar. So they were really interested in this. Well, somebody asked me a question in that room. There were about 35 psychologists, psychiatrists, and sociologists. And they asked me some religious question, and I answered the question. Just blurted out. And I said, I didn't come here to talk about people's religion, but if I must answer that question, here's the answer. And so the room just fell quiet. You could have heard a needle drop, and it was like, okay. So I step into situations, and sometimes maybe I talk when it'd be better to just keep my mouth shut.
Well, if somebody asks you a specific question,
it's fair game. It's fair game.
Yeah.
But if I answer the wrong way and they decide they want to kill me, that's and there are those elements, alive in America.
You made it to Arkansas at least, so that's good.
Well, here's the bottom line. Miracles have happened to save us from loss and loss of life. So if miracles have happened already, why not have miracles happen again? We believe that God will get us safely to our destination because He has mandated this for some reason. Now, I can't tell you what will happen after that. But nothing that can happen is anything for me to worry about because as a Christian, I believe that I'm in better hands no matter what happens. So anyway, so you got the cause, you got the background.
Yes.
And
I was going to ask just specifically about the route itself. You said you took some time to plan that. So where was you said you started in North Carolina, where?
Kill Devil Hills.
What was it?
Kill Devil.
Kill Devil Hills.
Kill the Devil Hills. No, Kill Devil Hills. That's where the Wright brothers first flew.
Gotcha.
It had historic significance, and actually, I give mementos of the walk to every mayor of each town I go through. If mayors like in a town like yours, they don't have time to meet with me. I wanted to go to Little Rock and visit the mayor there, but he didn't have time. Usually in the big towns they don't have time. But I've met with about 70 mayors so far, and I give them a little 40-day prayer book. It's a non-sectarian prayer book that is very patriotic, and so that's a memento of the walk. With the historic aspects, I'm the second oldest man to ever walk across the country, and the first to hand carry the American flag. So, and I've had some really great experiences with mayors, really have. But anyway, the route, the mayor in Kill Devil Hills asked me. I had to meet her at the council meeting. That's the only way I could catch her. And she asked me, "Why'd you start in Kill Devil?" And I told her the politically correct one. And then I said, "But as a pastor, I really like the Kill Devil part."
Yes, and that's apropos, right?
And she thought that was kind of clever. So, yeah.
Okay.
And maybe the devil's really mad at me for that.
So you start there, and I wrote that you went from
64, US 64, pretty much following. I broke away before the Appalachian Mountains and went down into South Carolina through the Blue Ridge of Georgia and back up into Tennessee on 64 again. Then there was a bridge out in Tennessee, so I went on 72 down into Huntsville, Alabama, and back up to Fayetteville, Tennessee, then across. Of course, I wanted to go down to Mississippi, so I went down to Mississippi. Then it came back up to 64. So I depart from 64, then I come back to 64.
Is that just to get to those areas, like to get to Mississippi? And,
yeah.
Make sure you cover.
Yeah.
So you go from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, then back to Tennessee, Mississippi. Now you're in Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, I went actually back to Tennessee, and I crossed the Mississippi River on I-55, Memphis, Arkansas-Memphis bridge, be going. I've pretty much gone 64 all the way, across Arkansas.
So what's the ultimate destination?
Santa Monica, California. I'll be picking up Route 66 in Amarillo, Texas. I'll be leaving 64 shortly after going into Oklahoma. I'll be going up into Tulsa and across, and then dropping down to Amarillo.
Was there a particular reason you picked Santa Monica, or it just happened to be on the?
It was on that Route 66 thing. And I had a friend from California who was he was homeless out in the desert. I bonded with him, and he was a very educated man, and he sort of helped me with the route. He said, "I'd like you to go to Santa Monica Pier. You need to see that place."
Sure.
And I said, "Well, that's on the Route 66. I mean, that's the last point, so why not?"
Makes sense. Sure.
It's pragmatic.
No, so as far as the walking goes, have you been walking along with him, or you been driving the RV, or what was your role?
Well, I drive the pace car.
Okay.
So we take the pace car to where he's going to start walking, and then he walks, and then I catch up with him every mile or two.
Okay.
And a lot of times I drive ahead of him and park, and then I walk back and walk with him, be on the car and walk back and get the car and move it up.
Okay, so you've done a pretty good amount of walking yourself then.
Yeah, sometimes I get a third, sometimes a half of what he gets.
Huh. Cool. So it's kind of it's a joint effort then.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I say that she's the backbone of the thing, logistics, and she makes it happen.
Sure.
And I couldn't do it without her. Period.
And it's just you two together, and I guess you meet people along the way who will help you in various ways.
Once in a while, we'll have somebody walking with us. Like we have a 22-year-old young man who has started walking with me at different points. He went to a music festival for this weekend. He's going to catch up with me. He might be walking with me tomorrow.
Really?
Monday when I
okay.
come through.
So he just happened to be...
He saw me in Russellville.
Okay.
He was quite intrigued, and he met me at a church when I visited church, and we talked about it. And he said, "I would like to walk with you some. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way to California, but he said, he said, I'm between jobs right now, and I'm really intrigued by what you're doing, and I'm resonating with your causes. And
Cool.
so,
That's
real nice guy. He's a long-haired fellow.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like your hippie guy. He plays mandolin and guitar, you know.
Oh, nice.
And,
Nice.
you know, but he's intellectual, you know, he's a fun guy to be around.
Cool.
Encouraging.
Well, it sounds like you've had aside from the incidents there, but you've had a pretty warm welcome, it seems.
Oh, yeah, hundreds of people. I mean, I guess I'm on more prayer lists than anybody. Yeah. I tell you, it's, you know, American people are great. A lot of people, I notice, don't want to stop me because they don't want to interrupt the walk, you know.
Mm.
And like you, you were a little resistant to me coming to the office because, you know, you don't want to put me out of the way or, you know, take it.
Oh, right, yeah, I just
you know,
wanted to
you know.
do whatever was easiest for you. If I need to come to you, that's fine, or,
Right,
you know,
right.
it just worked out. It was
It's really better for us to come to the comfort,
Mm.
you know, of this environment. I can hear better, and I can think better.
Sure.
No distractions.
Yeah.
You know.
Except for the air conditioning, it's really loud.
As a senior, you know, I have some senior moments, and sometimes I just start rambling, and people have to say, "Wait a minute, let's get back on course here."
I know, no, it's good to talk when you're being interviewed. So.
Yeah. When I do sermons, I get on what they call rabbit trails.
Oh, right.
When I find people sleeping in the back there, I say, "Okay, I must have gone off."
So the I noticed the website address on your shirt. That's just so if people want to know more in
Yeah.
depth about what you're doing.
This is the best site for people to connect with first. Then the other one is it's the main site. It was the first one that we put up. It has more detail about the causes, and it has a picture
So
of
is
everything.
that the Trans-American
Yeah,
crosswalk? So should I put it? Do you think I should put the links to both sites in the story? That
Yeah,
people
it'd be
wanna know about
good.
it?
Yeah. There's a link, you know, either one you go to, there's a link to the other one.
Okay.
But I like for people to go to this one because it gives them a taste. The cause is right first there in brief. It's in brief. And then I take the highlights of videos that television
Cool.
people have done
Cool.
so they can see. We've had 2 police escorts, and those videos are on there. Hiawassee, Georgia gave us a 4-mile escort, and South Pittsburgh, Tennessee gave us a 3 or 4 mile escort. And we did tributes. We did video tributes to them. Barbara documented everything,
Cool.
and we did tributes that are quite honestly are tear-jerking a little bit. If you're patriotic, you know, like I'm proud to be American,
Sure.
music in the background.
Sure.
You know, it's pretty good stuff.
Cool.
We're not professionals by any means, but those people that gave us those escorts really appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you get the Arkansas hat on your way in here?
You know, when I crossed the Mississippi River, I was wearing a Tennessee hat.
Right.
I got into Marion, Arkansas, and the father said, "It's not safe to wear a Tennessee hat in Arkansas." and this is a non-sectarian. You know, I know you like Tennessee, and you know, this is not about. It's not about sports. I always get the name of the state.
Right.
But I just went to Walmart and I said and I found this hat, and I got up to the register, and some of my fan club came around. They'd seen me on Channel 7 out of Little Rock, and I had a big group around me, and they were having me sign cards and do a bunch of stuff. And this lady came up and said, "Are you about ready to buy that Arkansas hat?" And I said, "Yeah." She gave me a $20 bill, and she says, "It's on me.
Oh,
Keep the
nice.
change."
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. And
Cool.
you know, I don't like to do the celebrity thing. I don't feel comfortable in that.
Right.
But you know, in America, you know, if you're not a Peyton Manning, or you know, if you're not doing the celebrity thing, I mean, once I hit the news, if you were to put this in the paper before I came, oh man, it'd be hordes of people,
Yeah.
you know. And when they've seen me on television, before I get to an area, when I came through Clemson University, people were lined up on the streets. You'd have thought Jesus was coming into Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was unreal.
Huh.
Yeah, it was unreal. So news media can be my friend,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, especially if you can get the scoop early.
Yeah.
And that happened in Huntsville. They came out and got me before I even got near Huntsville. So It always helps. And you know, a lot of time news media don't get all the facts right. You guys do better because you did, you know, you got the real thing. But you know, television stations, they'll interview me an hour and a half and take a lot of video, and they're only going to put 49 seconds to 2 minutes on there. So it's challenging for them to get the stuff that sells.
Yeah.
You know.
I
So, but they've done me good. Channel 13 in North Carolina, they drove an hour and a half. Anchor woman came, sweet gal, German gal. Loved that girl. She really connected with my heart, and that's on. If you go there, you want to see that. Boy, she hit it right on the. You know, she was politically correct, but yet she got to the heart of it.
Absolutely.
That's a gift right there now. To take a religious message and package it so the public, all the public, can embrace it. That's a great step.
That's kind of the idea.
Yeah. And
So, so you're done doing your walking for today, and then you'll be resting on Saturday and Sunday. But then Monday is that when you'll be
Monday
kind of
about
doing the official
daylight
routes?
from Sunnyside Road. I'm hitting the pavement, pounding the pavement. I'm walking at something like 3.5 miles an hour. I have a lot of pit stops. I have a lot of roadside encounters. So a lot of times my average pace for the day will be somewhere around 24 minutes a mile. And that's still pretty fast when you consider all the stops. I've been known to average 24 or 25 even with 3 news interviews in a day. You know.
Right.
So I'm picking them up and putting them down for a 68-year-old man.
So where you'll be walking on Monday, you said you'll be going down Garrison and into Oklahoma?
I don't know the fellow that brought me over here.
Yeah,
said it was
Garrison's like the
Garrison.
main stretch of road.
Is it 71 or something, or 64?
71 is where you came from, over there by the Eggs and I.
Well, there's a business 71 that comes through town.
Right.
I think that's the one I'm walking
Yeah, that's
on.
Towson.
And then I'll follow the main part of that and go across the bridge,
Okay. So
the legal bridge.
Right.
You know.
You'll be making your way across the bridge into Oklahoma.
Yeah, and then I'll actually be walking about 6 or 7 miles into Oklahoma, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And is yours a daily paper?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We were, I think we were planning to put this in Sunday's edition, so that way when you're going through
You'll
Monday.
have them prepped up good, yeah.
So.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Excellent.
I appreciate you guys